everyone, thank you for tuning into another episode of Sonia's Into Another World News. Before I get started, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers that have subscribed to my channel, tuning in to listen to me give my thoughts on all things weird. So I really appreciate you guys being here. So tonight, I want to do a quick book review. So I got this book in the mail, Walking Among Us by David Jacobs. It's bottom of it says the alien plan to control humanity, and I'm not going to go through the whole book. I'm only going to give you a little bit of insight, a little bit of details, read a couple of stories. So in his book, he has 14 abductee profiles, 14 people he's been working with, who've been abducted, who had abducting experiences and stuff like that. And it gives us a little bit of insight as to why these ETs might be here. Not all the ETs. In this book, he talks about 3 specific ETs. He doesn't. In this book, there's no mention of the tall whites or the Nordics or whatever, but it's basically a focus on the Insectilians, the Grays, and a little bit of the Reptilians. Although they're a little bit rare in this book, it doesn't seem like they're seen that often, but he does talk about it in this book. So I'm gonna go off and read the 14 names of the abductees that he worked with. Betsy is the one he has the most hypnotic regression therapy sessions with, but there's 14 in here. So we're going to start with Sean Allen. He was born in 1957, Ireland. David Jacobs started working with him in 2009. He's a company owner in Ireland. Then there's Bernard Davis, born in 1948, U.S. David Jacobs started working with him in 2003. Businessman and company owner Peggy Frederick, born in 1950, U.S. Start date, David Jacobs started working with her in 1997. Secretary, then Rachel Howard, born in 1948, U.S. David Jacobs started working with her in 1999. She's a nurse. Karen Morgan, born in 1949, U.S. David Jacobs started working with her in 1987. She's a businesswoman and a company owner. Kate Stevens, 1965, U.S. Start date that David Jacobs started working with her in 1993. She's unemployed. Pam Miller, well, she was unemployed. I don't know if she's still unemployed. At the time he was working with her, she was unemployed. Then Pam Martin, born in 1944, U.S. Start date, he started working with her in 1994. Retired healthcare worker. Phil Nelson, born in 1942, U.S. Start date, David Jacobs started working with him in 2013, retired engineer. Betsy Nichols, born in 1963, U.S. Start date, David Jacobs started working with her in 1999. She's a computer programmer. Alan Reed, born in 1964, U.S. Her start date, David Jacobs started working with her in 1993. She was a legal secretary. She's passed away, it says in this book. Brian Reed, which is Allison Reed's son, born in 1986, U.S. Start date, David Jacobs started working with her 2007, student, and he's a student. And also, like I said, he's Alice's son. So this lets you know it is generational. Like I said before, usually the grandparents are being abducted, or one of the grandparents, then it's going to be their kids, and it's going to be the grandkids, and it's so on. It has something to do with maybe the bloodline. I don't know how these ETs pick who they're going to abduct. But once they find a perfect specimen, they just continue down the bloodline, generational, and they keep abducting the same people. So let's go on. Clint Samuels, born in 1963, U.S. Start date, David Jacobs started working with him 1993, medical technician. Paula Richardson, born in 1947, U.S. Start date 2002, David Jacobs started working with her. She's a retired school teacher and businesswoman. Gillian Williams, born in 1973, Australia. Start date 2008. Dr. Jacobs started working with him. He was an office manager. So yeah, so those are the abductees he primarily focuses on in this book. The ones he really go into detail with is Betsy, Karen, Brian, Paula, and I believe Alice. Yeah, Alice. But Betsy is the most, and I think Karen is probably next. So there's some of these abductees were started taken when they were like super young. Like I say, they start when they're young. I think Betsy was taken when she was 14, and she was brought aboard this ship to help teach these hybrid kids about earthlings, humans, or whatever, what we do, what we eat, how we live, how we live. So that seems to be these Grays and Insectilians pretty much purpose. They abduct these people, they do medical procedures on them, they take egg, they take sperm, they create these hybrids. And actually Dr. David Jacobs has a stage for these hybrids or whatever. Let me see if I can find a page he talks about it on. Oh, let's see. No. Actually, let me go back. In here, he talks about the alien spectrum, the type of ETs that are seen on these crafts. So at the top of the line, top dog seems to be insectilians, praying mantis-like, 6 feet tall, thin body. They oversee the abduction operations, seem to be in command. They have very strong neural engagement. When I say neural engagement, they mean they have the ability to manipulate humans, and probably the ETs and the Greys and the hybrids, but they're top dog. But all of them seem to have cognitive manipulation abilities to control and manipulate humans, from what these abductees have said. So then it goes on to, and I'm not going to read everything. He gives a description about the insectilians and stuff. Then he goes on to the small Grays, 3 to 5 feet tall and thin, strong neural engagement. Also, only communicate telepathically, large hairless head, and most of us know about the small Grays. Then there's the tall Grays, which appear to be 4 or 5 feet tall and thin, strong neural engagement. Also, they only communicate telepathically. The small Grays tend to be the helpers. The tall Grays tend to perform the more complex procedures such as egg and sperm harvesting, embryo implantation, and fetal extraction. Let's see. And this goes on to the reptilian hybrids. They're about 5 to 6 feet tall, snake-like head, varied descriptions, scaly or mottled skin, neural engagement, strength unknown, only communicate telepathically, eyes described as cat-like or more humanoid, not fully black. Let's see, then he gets into the humanoid hybrid early stages. Gray alien looking but human shaped faces with small features, 5 to 5.5 feet tall, thin body, thin wispy hair, small noses and mouths, small noses and mouths, small or no ears, small amount of white sclera in their large but human-shaped eyes, small pointed chins, male and female, heart and or lungs unknown, existence of reproductive or waste removal origins unknown, neural engagement strong but unknown, only communicate telepathically, energy food through skin absorption of liquid nutrients. Then he goes on to, so that's the hybrid humanoid early stage, because he has different categories for these hybrids. Then it goes into humanoid hybrids middle stage. Faces half alien, half human, 5 feet to 5 feet and 8 inches tall, medium thick hair, small mouth and nose is small, often pointed chins. Eyes have more white but still too little for normal humans. Heart and lung capacity unknown. Then it goes into onto the other page. It still talks about humanoid hybrids middle stage continuance. Existence of reproductive or waste removal origins unknown, male and female, energy food unknown, medium strength neural engagement, only communicate telepathically, and they help the small Grays. They help small Grays process abductions on board. Escort abductees around the UFO tend to be more communicative than Grays or early stage humanoids. Then he goes into humanoid hybrids late stage. look human except that they may not have pubic hair or body hair. 5 feet to 5 feet 10 inches tall, they can easily pass for human, male or female. Irises can appear to be too large. Normal head of hair, normal reproductive and waist functions, male and female. Energy food through mouths, medium neural engagement. Communicate mainly telepathically, but can do so verbally. Then let's see, they perform procedures, leave UFOs to bring aboard abductees, may develop special relations with abductees, often attaching themselves to female abductees from an early age as personal project hybrids, or otherwise known as PPH. Often enforce rules, making sure that abductees comply with the program, do not live on Earth, can be communicative, help hubrids integrate. And then it goes on to hybrid, humanoid hybrids, human stage, advanced and security hybrids. Physically indistinguishable from humans, 5 feet to 6 inches tall to 5 feet to 10 inches tall, single-minded in their functions. Security hybrids are male. Security hybrids protect hubrids, which are living on Earth, and make sure there are no security breaches. Then he goes on to talk more about how humanoid hybrids, human stage, advanced, and security hybrids. Advanced hybrids are more male and female, eat through their mouths, medium neural engagement, communicate both telepathically and verbally, help hubrids integrate, ensure abductee secrecy. Advanced hybrids come to Earth to obtain housing for hubrids and independence, help obtain materials for furnishing apartments, help train abductees for future tasks when they live on Earth. And then the last stage, the final stage of the insectilians, I guess, plan or whatever, would be hubrids. Hubrids, independent and group. Human in every way except specific neural functions. 5 feet to 6 inches to 5 feet to 10 inches tall, telepathic and verbal communication, broad-minded. Male and female can learn to be citizens, medium to weak neural engagement, live on Earth and seamlessly blend into society. Group hubrids learn as much about Earth society as possible, live together in 2 or 3s. Independent hybrids learn as much as possible about human life. They live alone but also maintain contact with their UFOs. Independence help group hybrids integrate. And then that gives that's a basic alien description that Dr. Jacobs talks about in here. But like I say, the insectilians seem to be the top dog running the programs, and where they come from I don't know, because the abductees can never seem to get a sense of where these ETs come from, and when they ask why they're here, they never give them a straight answer. They always say they're going to be part of the great change, whatever their great change is. But David Jacobs' view is he thinks they are here to pretty much take over the planet. That's what his thing is. So, but Richard Dolan doesn't think that so much. So I don't know. It's possible. It's definitely possible. It's something to keep in mind. I mean, why else would they have a breeding program? I mean, I've always assumed there were some form of human-looking hybrids here, because you've had too many abductees who've said they've seen them on these crafts, and they've had these medical procedures, and they've seen human-looking children on these ships. So I definitely believe there is a hybrid program going on. Now, is it completely based on what Dr. David Jacobs talked about in this book, that they're here to pretty much take over humanity? I mean, it seemed like the insectilists want this society to be like the Borg, like one hive mind. I don't know if that's what they're going for, but the only thing I disagree with in this book is Dr. Jacobs says that he thinks there's no account of any other ETs being here. Basically, he's saying there's only the insectilians, the Greys, and the reptilians, and then the hybrids they've created, which is not true, because we know there have been other accounts of people encountering the tall whites, the Nordics, and other different looking ETs. Like James Hall, if you guys haven't watched his documentary, he's a Air Force sergeant, I think back in the 60s or whatever. In his documentary, he talked about working with the tall whites out in a military base. I'm assuming it's Area 51 in Las Vegas, but he doesn't mention any Greys or reptilians or insectilians or whatever. in his work or encountering. So and then if you read Richard Dolan's book Alien Agendas, he gives an account of other ETs that are here too. So there seems to be multiple races here doing their own thing with humans. What's the end game is, I don't know. But so I'm gonna read you guys an encounter. And you know, the thing is, I would be so annoyed. These abductees who are brought onto these ships to have their egg and sperm taken, and then they're also required to teach these hybrids or hubrids how to, like, about human life or whatever, so they can integrate into human society. But what's awful is that these hybrids and these hubrids just show up in these abductees' homes at all hours of night. Just 2 o'clock they're there, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. They seem to have no sense of time. They just randomly show up and they ask out these weird, quite weird, mundane stuff that most people would know. Like, let me see. What is a sink? How does it work? Why does a cabinet have handles? What is a cabinet? What is a television? What does it do? What are clothes? How do you put them on? just weird, But I guess that's what happens when they're raised on these crafts. Because, like I said, these hybrids they're removed from the woman when she's like 6 weeks. I think 6 weeks or 2 months or something like that. Before they start to show, they're put in these incubators till they're like a certain size, removed from these incubators, and then they're grown on these ships, so to speak. There's no like how we raise kids here. There's no love involved. There's no touching. There's none of that experience kids experience here, being raised by parents and stuff. There's none of that on there. It's cold, it's sterile environment. So they're almost like kind of robots. Like I said, kind of like the Borg drones on Star Trek. They have no sense of self. They basically are waiting to be given orders of what to do. They don't understand basic functions. It's really, really weird. So let me see. Okay, I'm gonna read this one story to you by Betsy. So a week later, Betsy was sitting on the edge of her bed in the morning, deciding whether to get up or go back to sleep, when she saw an adolescent male standing in her bedroom doorway. He told her to follow him. They went into the living room where she sat on the couch. 4 hybrid males and 1 female were there, along with a security hybrid, the enforcer, as Betsy refers to him, whose function was to make sure the hybrids were safe and that Betsy stayed compliant. The female appeared to be in her 20s. They were all sitting on the floor. A hybrid asked Betsy about what constituted a normal day routine. Another one is asking me, okay, and this goes into her own words, as Dr. Jacobs has her up under hypnosis and regression her. Another one is asking me about day-to-day, basically, another one is asking me about day-to-day basic routines. But he doesn't use that word, what do you do? How do people know what to do? You mean during the day? She says, just in general, he's aware of certain things. He's aware that people get up, they take a shower, they perform hygiene, then they work, they go someplace. In essence, he's asking like, how do you do things? He knows there are different routines for different people. He asks, how do you know which set of rules is yours and which ones do you follow, and how do you memorize all of them? There seems to be a great many of them, he says. How do you remember them all? Yeah, but he's calling them sets of rules instead of routines. I'm saying, well, really what you have to do dictates... let me start this over. Well, really, what you have to do dictates which rules. If you have to go to work at a certain time, then you have to get up at a certain time. And most people would shower before they go to work. But if you don't work, maybe you can shower later, go back to bed as I do. It's a different set. He's saying you don't have the same one all the time. How do you determine which one to follow? I'm saying it depends on what I have to get done during the day. There are certain things in life that you have to do. It takes time to do most of them, and you have to allow for that time frame and adjust everything accordingly. It depends on where your responsibilities are. He's not understanding that I'm not really able to explain it very well to him. I'm saying this is that young one. You're young, you're probably still in school. You're young, you would probably be still in school. You get up in the morning, shower, all the same type things. And that's from one Hubert who was asking her all these questions. And then she goes on to talk about the story that she calls in this book Wetness. After answering questions from the Huberts, Betsy took them all to see the kitchen. Once again, Betsy's broken kitchen sink sprayer came up in the tour, and an unexpected drama took place. There are a couple of dirty dishes in there, the sink, and I'm explaining that they have to be washed. Things have to stay clean, and the rest of them are kind of behind us watching. But I'm talking to her, and somebody else asks, why is there a special room for these things, for like the dishes? Meaning the kitchen? She asked. Yeah, I'm saying you need special things to cook and wash the dishes, so they put everything in one area. And he's saying, but you don't eat in this area? I said, no, there's no room. We eat in the next room. He wants to know why isn't it in the same room like the one big room? In some places it is. Some people eat in their kitchens, but there's no room in ours. Well, he doesn't understand. He just keeps asking me, well, why didn't they make it bigger? And I'm kind of saying we need to have a dining room where we eat. It's not right next to it. That's really going right past him. He doesn't understand. To him, it makes no sense. I'm pointing out like the stove. They're kind of familiar with all this already. I'm just sort of quickly going over it. That's the stove. That's the refrigerator. That's the sink. One of them, the female Hubert, wants to know how to turn the sink on, and I'm telling her you just flip the handle up, and she does that, and the water squirts out, and it hits her, and she gets upset. The water squirts out on her hand, and Dr. David Jacobs is asking Betsy, the water squirts out on her hand. You mean? No, it's broken, and the vegetable squirter. Wait, no, it's broken, and those vegetable squirter things, it only comes out there. It's broken, and the water only comes out of that thing, and it was like pointing up. I have to walk over and turn it off because she doesn't. She's just standing there, letting the water hit her. She's not turning it off. I went over there and turned it off. Is it hot water or cold? I mean, is she getting burned? No, I think that it's real hot. No, I don't think that it's real hot. And she's upset. She's asking me, why did that happen? And I was telling her it's broken. It should come out the other part, but it doesn't. She wants to know, every time you turn the water on, do you have to get wet? And I said, no, you generally just point the thing down in the sink. She's fairly upset about this. She's holding her arms out. I'm assuming she's holding her arms out like this, because she doesn't know what to do, because she's wet, and she doesn't understand being wet and why she's wet, and she just doesn't understand the concept of being wet and why she's wet. And let's see, she's holding her arms out. She's not really touching anything like we would to use to wipe the water off. She's not. She's just holding her arms out in front of her. Her clothes must have gotten wet too, in her face maybe. Not so much her face, more her chest and stomach area. She's pretty wet. She's asking me, what do you do when this happens? And I say, go get a towel and dry it off. We walked down to the bathroom and got a towel out of the closet, and I'm telling her, I'm kind of showing her how you wipe yourself down and dry yourself. At least get some of it. And she keeps holding her arms out like she's having trouble drying herself because she's holding her arms out at those weird angles. It's almost like she's injured. She's just wet. I'm taking the towel and drying her two arms. It's a bit difficult to get back out because they're all sort of crowded in the bathroom. So the female Hubert, along with the 4 other Huberts, and I guess the 4 are all crowded in the bathroom, looking at Betsy dry this female Hubert off because they just don't understand. Eventually everybody backs up and we go back into the living room. And then Dr. David Jacobs asked, did she put her arms down finally? Yeah, Betsy says she's kind of holding the towel to the wet part of her. She's not really actively drying it. She's like holding it to herself. She's telling me it's cold. I told her it's going to be until you get dry again, and she wants to know how to do that. She wants to know, how do you get dry again? she said, the towel's not working. I said, you need to change your shirt and put on a dry one. And she's asking me if the towel will work. And I say, in a way, but you take off your wet shirt, you use the towel to dry your skin and put on a dry shirt. And then she understands. The enforcer is telling me that I won't remember this and I won't talk about it. I think he goes on like that for a while, and then we kind of breaks off. Then he kind of breaks off. The others are gone already. It's just him and me, and he's telling me I can go back to bed now and I will not remember this. And that was basically it. So yeah, that's one of the situations that these abductees have to deal with, constantly explaining stuff to these hubrids or these hybrids about basic stuff, just mundane stuff that they have no clue about. And every time after one of these encounters or these teaching sessions happen, you have an enforcer or a hybrid, if you've been there to, I won't say erase their memory, because they can't seem to erase their memory. They just tell them they won't remember, and they do something to them where they won't remember. Obviously, some of these abductions come to the surface because people do remember. Or they might not remember the whole picture, but they know something's happened to them and they've had missing time. But when they go to see people like Dr. David Jacobs, they can remember the sessions of what happened fully. So they kind of just try to, it seems like these hybrids or humans try to block their memory, but they can't erase it. So the information is in there, it's just hidden from them, unless someone like Dr. David Jacobs pulls it out. I'm gonna read another story, another encounter for you. This is from a abductee named Karen. Now Karen is a trip. She refuses to cooperate with these insectilians and these grays and their plans or whatever. She pushes back on every chance they get. And they always threaten her. They don't threaten her physically. They always show images in their head. They're gonna like, oh, we're gonna do this, and she says, go ahead. And then we like, we can kill you, we can destroy your house. And she says, go ahead and give it your back shot. But they never do it. They never do it. They always threaten they're gonna do it, but they never do any of the stuff they say they do. They just move on to the next thing they tell her she doesn't remember, and that's it. And she said she's been working with these, I don't want to say working, abducted like 20 sometimes, been doing this 20 some years with these aliens, and every time she pushes back, they get irritated. They always say they're going to threaten to do something, but they never do what they say they're going to do. Okay, so this is the story. This is an encounter that Karen had. It's called the convenience store. So Karen has also had the experience of teaching hybrids about money and how to make a transaction. During an abduction event that took place in the middle of the night, a hybrid forced Karen to drive him to an all-night convenience store. And as was usual for Karen, she resisted at first, but she was nevertheless forced to do it, the hybrid's bidding. Karen's description of the incident highlights how dependent on abductees hybrids are. On the initial drive to the convenience store, the two engaged in a verbal sparring match. He's asking me questions about the store. What kind of store? What's the difference between that and other stores? He wanted to experience being in his store, and he said it was late, it was like between 2 and 4 a.m. in the morning. And he said, well, where would you go? And I said, there's only one place that I know that's open 24 hours. And I thought, why am I telling him this? Then I say, forget it. So he says, I know there are stores that are open. What I'm asking is there one near here? And I say, I don't know. I say the same thing. I don't know. And he said, well, if you pick the nearest one, we can get this over with faster or something like that. So I say, okay. And I go to the Wawa, a Pennsylvania convenience store. Actually, we just got Wawa. We have Wawa down here in Florida anymore, so it's not just northern Pennsylvania. And that's right near us because I know there's no way out of obeying. We're going to sit in the car all night, or at least if I get him there, then I can get home. It seemed like we parked on the side of Wawa. I got out on the driver's side. I was wearing a coat, so we got out of my car. I'm woozy. I can't stand very well. Maybe actually he opens the door for me. I remember thinking, oh wow, how chivalrous. Because I thought, isn't this interesting? It takes an alien to get a man to open a door for you these days. As we go in, he's kind of holding my back. He's kind of holding my back to hold me up. He's got his hand on my back. He's not actually, and Dr. Davis asks, he's not actually pushing you? No, he's more standing me, well, a little pushing me. And I'm like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? And he says, don't do anything. And I said, what am I going to do? I can't even move, you moron. You moron. So we go into the Wawa. There can't be many people in there, I would assume. It's deserted. And there's one clerk who looks worse than the alien. He buys something insignificant, like from the counter, like candy or something. Do you have your purse with you, or do you have money with you? This is the Hubert asking Karen, does she have her purse, does she have money? And she said, I don't remember. I don't think I have my purse with me because it's really big and bulky. It seemed like he turns to me like, are you going to pay for this? And I'm like, I'm not paying for it. I look at him, you pay for it. So the clerk is kind of looking at us. I get the suggestion that should reach into my pocket to see if I have money. Now she goes on to say, before we got out of the car, he told me to put money in my pocket. We get into, they can have the ability to like manipulate people and stuff without you remembering, and then you kind of remember later. So we get into the store, and I said, I'm not paying for this. He's actually reached into my pocket and pulled out the 2 crumpled dollars and put it on the counter. The clerk probably thinks that we're drunk, and the clerk pushes back one of the dollars and just takes the other, and the being takes the crumpled up dollar and holds it in his hand. And I think, you better give that, and Karen is saying, I think you better give that back to me. It's my dollar. The clerk gives the change to the guy. The clerk brings this up, and I look, and he holds up the change. It's like he doesn't know what to do. The clerk is standing there holding this, and he then says, here. And the alien is actually saying to me, what should I do? So the clerk is holding up the change to the guy, and the Hubert, doesn't know what to do. So he's looking at Karen because he's lost. He doesn't know why the clerk is holding up this change. He doesn't know what change is and why he should take it. So he's just looking at her, and the alien's actually saying to me, what should I do, or what does this mean? That's what he's saying. And I'm saying, figure it out. And I think we end up leaving and he doesn't take the change. He doesn't, and then Dr. J goes on to say, he doesn't take the change from the clerk? I don't think so. And this is Karen saying, I don't think so. I don't think he knows what he was supposed to do, because only while we get into this argument, if you could call it that, I said, what if there was somebody in there I knew? Are you stupid? And he said, you didn't help me in there. You didn't play your role. You didn't perform. And I said, wait, I'm not going to perform. Haven't you figured that out yet? And I thought, gee, we're arguing like a couple, So he kind of throws me into the car. He pushes me, and I said, what if I saw somebody I know in there? And he looked at me and said, that would not be a problem. Then let's see, and now I'm getting this lecture on my overall attitude, which is not up to stuff. And this guy has been around any number of times, and he knows me well. He said, this is a hubris, saying he's sick of it. He says he's tired of this constant battle. And I say, well, welcome to my world. This is the way it is. This is the way it's going to be. And they always say the same thing. There will be consequences. They always says things like that. There will be consequences. And I say, hey, give it your best shot. What are you going to do? So he says, no, you've got to get us home. And I say, what if I don't? And he like, we can't stay here. We have to get home. I said, I'm too tired. He said, you got to drive. You got to get us back. He's like starting to like panic or something. I don't know. And and then Karen goes on to say, sometimes even though they seem very limited, there is an air of desperation to them. There really is. I've sensed it when they up against something that's not in the program, and they don't have an ability to think critically and get out of the box. And I'm amused at his desperation. I think it's pretty funny because he's saying, we can't just sit here. And I kind of say, why not? Let's just sit here for a while. I don't feel like driving. He says, no, you must. Then he says, you got to get back. What about your husband? And I think, oh shit, I got to get back in bed. That's well, I know it's not funny because these people are being abducted against their will, forced to go through these medical procedures, forced to teach these Hubert kids about life on Earth because they're coming out here to live among us or integrated with us. I don't know. I'm sorry that story was really funny because the dude was desperate because, like she said, they don't know how to operate outside their programming. They're like, they don't know how to function without directions and stuff like that. They have really good cognitive ability. They have a good ability to remember stuff, but they don't know how to like emphasize. They don't know how to like they have to teach them how to smile, how to laugh. There's one case in where I think it was Brian. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna read it tonight. Where he's abducted, he's brought on this ship, and he's supposed to teach his hubrid how to dance. And they're just sitting in this room, and she has like this black dress on and goes up to the neck with long sleeves. And he says she's really, really pale, and I think she's like 5 feet, and she has this dress on that goes down to her knees. And I can't remember if he says she has shoes. And he's supposed to teach her how to dance. And they don't know what dance is. He like, we need music. They don't understand what music is. How do you make music? Where do you get it from? And it's just stuff like that they don't comprehend. So he was trying. Of course, they don't have music because they're on the ship. But he's trying to teach her how to dance, and she doesn't get it. It's just stuff like that. So, and then they don't know what art is, and they're like, how do you get art? And it's just basic. I don't know. It's just weird. Let me see. I was gonna see if I could find the one about the dancing, but I don't see it in here. Anyway, that's just what I wanted to give you, a basic insight of this book. Like I said, I think you guys should get it if you haven't read it already. It does give you a little bit of insight as to why some of these ETs are here and what they're possibly doing here. I know we're all wondering, what are they doing and what are they doing here? And I mean, is it all about this? About them integrating into human society to control humanity in like a Borg-like situation? I don't know, because there's other ETs here you don't find at the other ETs. Now, like I said, all these ETs are not nice. They're not all love and light and friendly and stuff like that. Come on, people need to be realistic and wake up. But yeah, but this definitely gives you a different perspective of maybe why the intelligence community doesn't tell the truth. I don't think that's the only reason that the intelligence community doesn't tell us the truth about us engaging with humanoid-looking aliens here. I think they also, it's about power, control, and technology, and they want to be the ones to have their hands on this technology and screw the rest of society. So, and they're all probably doing their thing in the galaxy and flying around in these reverse engineered crafts and stuff. So, also, I've been following this story that came out today on Timothy Alberino's channel. Really, really cool guy. He's like a Christian ufologist, or ufologist Christian or whatever. He doesn't follow the traditional ways of Christianity. I mean, he believes in follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, but he also believes in UFOs and ETs and stuff like that. You just have to. I got turned on him through Richard Dolan's channel. He's a really, really cool guy. So I say you guys check his channel out. But today he was talking about this tribe down in Peru, the Ikitu tribe, has just recently, and it's been all over the news. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. So it says Peruvian villagers claim they are being attacked by predators. Well, this headline says predator-style aliens, but I don't think they look like that. But the tribe that's down in Peru, and they're like in this like remote part of Peru where it takes like hours for them to get to like a big civilization. They call them the Caracas, something about face pillars or whatever. And I don't know the whole story because I haven't really been following it. I just got turned on it today. Roderick Martin over at Why the Big Secret was talking about it tonight, so I guess you guys should check out his channel. So he has a really, really, really good channel. Let me see. So it says Peruvian villagers claim to have been attacked by predator-style aliens. Members of the Ikitu. Oh, hold on. I hate when these commercials pop up. So it says members of the Ikitu indigenous people in rural Alto Nene claim to have seen the beast after it attacked a 15-year-old girl. The native people alleged the mysterious creature slashed her across the neck, which required heavy medical attention. Hunters from the tribe claimed to have fired at armed beings. However, they soon discovered that the creatures are immune to human weapons. The native people reportedly saw one of the 7-foot beasts disappear and reemerge on the spot. The Ikitu people have detailed that they may be aliens from another planet, while other citizens believe the creatures to be folklore monsters. The outlet reports that the predators could be drones covered with. No, see, this story, not that great. Because these native people was talking about these beings were floating, and they look at the description they give are like 6 to 7 foot tall alien grays, kind of like the ones that Phil Snyder talked about, the late Phil Snyder talked about encountering down while he was building a deep underground military base in New Mexico. And then let's see, let me find another story. Well, like I said, this story was just hitting the news. At least I just found out about it today. I'm gonna go to the Daily Mail. And if you guys hear vehicles driving by, it's because I'm outside. It says, terrified Peruvian villagers claim that they are under attack from 7-foot tall aliens dubbed face pillars as they plead with the authorities to send back up. Terrified villagers in rural Peruvian district have claimed they have come under attack by 7-foot tall aliens they have dubbed Los Caracas. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, or the face pillars is translated into English. Members of the Ikitu tribe from the San Antonio Native community have reported mysterious figures in dark-colored hoods attacking the villagers who live in the rural district of Alto Nene, northeast of Lima, Peru. After one such attack, a 15-year-old girl had to be taken to the hospital. And there actually is an image of the 15-year-old girl. They have her face blocked out, but you can see where she had bandages on her neck, so she was talking about something. And if you go to Timothy Alberino's channel, he has a video where the villagers have kind of like a phone. It's like not a like expensive phone. They don't have like iPhones out there, but they have like a basic phone, and they recorded this creature above like a rooftop in these trees, and you kind of can see like the outline of the eyes, the typical big gray bulbous head of the gray and the big eyes and stuff, and it was like looking down at them. And like I said, the villagers was saying that these things had like suits on, and they had like these shoes, like these platforms on with these lights on the back, and they were floating or whatever. But like I said, the story's just coming out. It says, according to the community leader, Jairo I don't know how to say that. I'm going to say Jairo de Villa. The teenager narrowly escaped, but as a result of the struggle, they cut part of her neck. Now, according to local media, members of the community are conducting night patrols to protect women, children, and more vulnerable villagers, and have called on authorities to send the military. And they also have an image in here of a that was supposed to be that's a villager that was. It says there's a picture of a man with bandages around his head who was supposedly attacked and is helped by 2 other villagers. And then this is an image of armed Peruvian officials arriving at the rural community to see what's going on. Let's see. And then it goes on to say some community members said they can't sleep because they are in fear. Locals described the extraterrestrials having large heads and yellowish eyes, and they said the mysterious figures are immune to their hunting weapons. They claim they have attacked them every night for nearly a month since July 11th. Latina Noticias, a Peruvian news outlet, quoted the village saying he had come face to face with one of the so-called aliens. We met almost face to face. His face is hardly visible. I have seen his whole body floating at a height of 1 meter. He says suggesting the being was hovering. The group have now requested a military presence from the authorities. However, it is reportedly takes a 10-hour river trip to reach the community from Iquitos. That sucks, dude. You way out in the middle of the jungle cut off from it. That's like perfect pickings for these ETs or whatever. We need support from our community. The children do not sleep and the mothers stay up all night. The village said they appeared to be armored. I shot one of them twice and he wasn't injured. He rose and disappeared. We're very frightened about what's happening here in our community. He added, their shoes are round shaped, which they use to float. Their heads are long. They wear a mask and their eyes are yellowish. They are experts in skin. Like I said, Timothy Albino was talking about this, about the whole mask part. He thinks that the villagers are missing it. He doesn't realize that that's probably their actual face, because they're not familiar with the UFOs and the alien abductions and Greys and Nordics and tall whites and all that kind of stuff. So they're probably thinking it's a mask, but that's their actual face. The big heads, the black eyes, the little slit for a mouth, the no noses, tiny little orifices, no ears. So they're mistaking it for a face. Oh, this is an image of the teenage girl. They blocked out her face, but that's her. She's holding a bandage around her neck. So yeah. So she was taken to a hospital. She was in the struggle, they said. This is more images of the villagers and military officials there. And it goes on to say some villagers describe the aliens as being like Pela Caracas, strange beings from folklore that feast on human faces and fats and organs. According to a report, the police reached the remote area on board a speeder vessel and toured the village perimeter, including the area where the teenager was allegedly tagged. It is unclear if the authorities found anything to corroborate the village's claim, and if the government intended to deploy military personnel to the area for a sustained period of time to protect the villagers from the mysterious threat. According to a 2017 National Caucus, there are around 1,200 people who identify as being a member of the Ikitu community. There's actually another video too. If you go to Timothy Alberino's channel, there's a video that somebody shot with their phone of a body being wrapped in bananas. So I guess the locals or the people, the tribes that live out in the jungle found a body, and the face is gone. Like, you know how cow mutilation, and people find these cows, and it's like the skin or flesh or part of their face has been surgically removed, like precisionally done, like perfect cuts and everything. The locals found this body. They wrapped it up with banana leaves and put it on the side of a riverbank for the police to come and get it. And you could definitely see in the video that this guy's face is gone. There's no blood coming out, so he was exsanguinated. I guess the blood was drained out from him. I mean, whether it's a hoax or not, I don't know. No, it could be a real thing. It could be I don't know. But if you watch the video, you do see the police there, and I don't know what to make of it. But the guy's face is they've removed his face. The skin is gone. It is kind of like the predator. You have a predator to take parts and stuff. If you watch that movie, but I don't know. We'll see. That's really freaky and scary. You hope that they ask for the military or something, goes in there and try to help them protect these people, if this is indeed what's happening. I don't know. We'll just see how this story unfolds the next couple of days and what happened. Well, like you said, if you send the U.S. military down there, they're just going to cover it up. So they're going to know there's nothing to it. These Native people don't know what they're talking about, and they're blaming on something else. It's just going to turn into a big cover-up, which I hope it don't. I don't know. I think these people I think they definitely are encountering something down there, being cut off in the middle of the jungle, away from society. Like I said, it took 10 hours. It's a 10-hour boat trip for officials to get to them. I mean, they are deeply cut off inside this jungle. So why wouldn't a more advanced, malevolent species come in there and try to take these people and do whatever and take their face? I mean, to what end they want them? I mean, I guess you could say what they do with cow mutilation. They take part of their face, they take part of their genitalia, and they extinguish it and get their blood. So So yeah, but I kind of not surprised. I always kind of thought there had to kind of be like human mutilations or whatever. I mean, they do humans, so what's to keep these ETs from taking humans? And like I said, it's not all the ETs, so you're gonna have the good ones, you're gonna have the bad ones. They're not like all love and light, like some people out there believe. But yeah, it is what it is. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys tonight, my book review, and give you a little update on what's happening down in the Peruvian jungle. So like I said, if you guys don't believe me, go do the research for yourself. I always tell people to do the research for themselves and see what you find. And and also with the Rush and Fravor and Graves thing, I hope we continue to support these people and not tear them down, because they really need our support. When the public turns on them and start to try to eat them alive, that's going to make other whistleblowers not want to come out. I mean, would you want to come out if you end up having the public discounting you and calling you a liar? I mean, they were incredible witnesses. Their credentials are impeccable. And I don't think there's really anything negative you can say about them. And like I said, Rush was under oath. If he's get caught, like, dude is going to go do some serious jail time. And then then yesterday, I think it was yesterday, you had this general that came out, I think it was part of Pentagon, and said that there is no evidence of what Rush was saying or something to that extent that he's telling the truth. Well, he's probably not even read in on the program. There's only a handful of people who've read on these special access and CAPS programs. He's probably not read on a reverse engineer or alien technology program. So of course he's going to come out and say that there's no evidence of what Rush is saying is true, because he probably has no clue. And then if he does, he's going to toe the typical line. They lie to public. That's what they do. Of course they're not going to want. They've been lying to us for like over 80 some years. You really think they're going to want to come out and spill the beans? Now you really think they want to tell us that they've been lying to us for over 80 some years about having retrieved alien tech in their possession and stuff like that, and alien bodies? And no, they're not going to do that. They're definitely not going to want to do that if there is a case of human alien hybrid programs, ETs walking among us, which I definitely think they are. But like I say, I think it goes back to them wanting to have that technology, the secret keeper, the gatekeepers for themselves, and it's all about them and screw the rest of us. So I don't know. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got for tonight. So like I said, you guys do your own research. I highly suggest you read that book. My next book to go read is Above Black, and that's supposed to be based on this soldier, I think he was in the Air Force, I can't remember, who was contacted, I can't remember, to be part of this program about telepathically communicating with ETs, and this whole program that he was in, and about people being abducted, and the U.S. government was knowing about and allowing, I don't know. Anyway, once I get the book, I will do my review and come on and talk to you guys about it. So that's it. That's all I got for now. You guys have a wonderful day or night. Because for me, it is 2 o'clock in the morning again, so I'm going to go in and do some research, watch Richard Dolan, finish listen to the rest of Timothy Alberino's channel, and do some research on these Peruvian ETs. Oh, and then it brings you back to the Las Vegas case too, which I definitely think that family in Las Vegas saw something in their backyard. I think they do. I think they really did. And it could be the same ETs that are seen down in Peru, or the same ones that the late Phil Snyder said that's working underground in Los Alamos or wherever they were, and dosing the Miss I don't remember, but they seem to have been here for some time. But yeah, because they're tall. The ones in Peru were like 7 to 8 feet tall. The ones in Las Vegas was like 7 to 8 feet tall. The ones in Los Alamos that late Phil Snyder was talking about was tall, big-nosed grays. So they could all definitely be related. But I know I'm gonna go do my research. That's it. That's all I got for tonight. Good night. Buenas noches. I am out.